Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the U.S. Valiant, watching the stars move past in the dark space around them. The 12 ships of Earth's strongest fleet moved together like a pack of wolves hunting in the night. Each ship was big, enough to destroy entire planets, and every person in the galaxy knew it. Jake had gray hair now, after 20 years of fighting wars that other people started. His dark eyes missed nothing as he watched his crew work at their stations. The bridge was quiet except for the soft sounds of computers and the low talk between officers. "Admiral, we have something," said Lisa Carter from her station near the front of the bridge. She was young but smart, and Jake trusted her to handle all the messages that came to the fleet. Her fingers moved fast over her controls as she tried to understand what she was seeing. "What is it, Lisa?" Jake asked, walking over to her station. The other officers on the bridge turned to listen. "It's a message, sir, but it's coded in a way I've never seen before. It's coming from the Zelani system, about 3 days from here if we push the engines hard." Jake knew about the Zelani. They were a peaceful people who had never hurt anyone. They were doctors and teachers, not fighters. Their world was beautiful, with blue oceans and green forests that reminded many humans of old Earth. "Can you break the code?" he asked. Lisa worked for several minutes, her face tight with thinking. Finally, the message began to play on the main screen. The face that appeared was not human. It had blue skin and large eyes that looked very sad. When it spoke, the words came out broken and full of fear. "This is Ambassador Kree-Na of the Zelani Federation. Our world is under attack. The Korthic Empire has come to our system with many ships. They are bombing our cities and taking our people as slaves. We are a peaceful people. We have no weapons to fight them with." The message stopped for a moment, and they could hear explosions in the background. When the ambassador spoke again, tears were running down his blue face. "We ask for help from any who will listen. We know that Earth has strong ships and brave people. 20 years ago, when the sickness came to Mars, our doctors helped save millions of human lives. We ask now that you remember this kindness. Our people are dying. Our children are hiding in caves while monsters burn everything we have built. Please, if you can hear this message, help us." The message ended, and the bridge was quiet. Jake felt anger growing in his chest like a fire. The Korthic Empire was known throughout the galaxy as killers and slavers. They took what they wanted and destroyed everything else. "How old is this message?" Jake asked. 2 days, sir. It took time to reach us because of how far away they are." Jake turned to Ryan Davis, his best officer for planning battles. Ryan was tall and thin, with quick eyes that could see problems before they happened. "Ryan, what do you think about this?" Ryan looked at the star maps on his screen. "Sir, the Zelani system is not in our area. Earth Command told us to patrol the Outer Rim, not to fight wars for other people. If we go there, we might start a big war with the Korthic Empire." "But they helped us when we needed it," said Lisa. "My little brother was on Mars during the plague. He might have died if the Zelani doctors had not come to help." Jake remembered that time too. The plague had come from nowhere and spread fast. Human doctors could not stop it, and people were dying every day. Then the Zelani had come with their medical ships and their knowledge. They had worked day and night to save human lives, asking for nothing in return. "Sir," said Ben Parker from his station. Ben was young and always ready to fight. "The Zelani are good people. If we don't help them, who will?" Jake walked to the big window at the front of the bridge and looked out at the stars. He thought about his orders from Earth Command. They had told him to keep the Outer Rim safe, to protect human worlds from attack. But they had not said anything about helping other people. But Jake also thought about what it meant to be human. Humans fought for each other, even when it was dangerous. They protected people who could not protect themselves. That was what made them different from animals like the Korthik. Lisa, send a message to all ships in the fleet. Tell the captains to meet me in the war room in 1 hour. Yes, sir. Jake turned to Ryan. Get me everything we know about Korthik ships and weapons. I want to know how many ships they usually send to attack a world like this. Sir, are we really going to do this? Ryan asked. Jake looked at him with eyes as hard as steel. These Alani saved human lives when we needed help. Now they need us. That's all I need to know. 1 hour later, Jake stood in front of 12 captains in the war room. These were the best officers in the human fleet, men and women who had fought in battles across the galaxy. Each one commanded a ship that could destroy armies. You all heard the message from the Zalani, Jake began. They are under attack by the Korthik Empire. They have asked for our help. Captain Rachel Stone was the first to speak. She was a fighter who had never backed down from any battle. How many Korthik ships are we talking about, sir? Intelligence says they usually send 40 to 60 ships to take over a world like this, Jake answered. 60 ships against our 12? Said Captain Tony Miller. That's bad numbers even for us. The Korthik have never fought humans before, Jake said. They think like all the other races in the galaxy. They think bigger numbers always win. They don't understand how humans fight. The captains looked at each other. They all knew that human ships were different. Human crews trained harder, fought smarter, and never gave up. But 60 enemy ships was still a lot. What about Earth Command? Asked Captain Laver Bennett. What will they say when they find out we left our patrol area? Jake smiled, but it was not a happy smile. I'll worry about Earth Command later. Right now, there are innocent people dying, and we have the power to stop it. When do we leave? Asked Rachel. Right now. Set course for the Zelani system, maximum speed, and send a message to the Korthik fleet when we get there. Tell them that Earth's deadliest fleet is coming, and they have one chance to leave before we arrive. As the captains left to return to their ships, Jake stood alone in the war room. He knew this decision might end his career. He might be court-martialed when they returned to Earth, but he also knew it was the right thing to do. The Valiant and her 11 sister ships turned toward the Zelani system and jumped into hyperspace. Behind them, the stars seemed to move out of the way, as if space itself knew that something terrible was coming for the Korthik Empire. The human fleet moved through hyperspace like ghosts in the night. Inside the ships, crews checked weapons and ran battle drills. They all knew they were going to fight an enemy that had never lost a war. On the U's Valiant, Commander Alex Turner was getting ready for a special mission. He would take a small, fast ship ahead of the fleet to see what they were up against. Alex was good at sneaking around without being seen, and he spoke several alien languages. Remember, Alex, said Admiral Norrison before Alex left, we need to know how many ships they have and where they are. But don't let them see you. If they know we're coming, they might kill all the Zelani before we can stop them. Understood, sir. I'll be back in 12 hours with everything you need to know. Alex's ship was small and painted black. It had special equipment that made it almost impossible to see on enemy screens. He jumped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Zelani system and began moving slowly toward the planet. What he saw made his stomach feel sick. The blue and green world that had once been beautiful was now covered with smoke and fire. Korthik ships surrounded the planet like vultures around something dead. Alex counted 63 enemy ships, each one big enough to carry thousands of soldiers. But Alex had another job to do first. Between the Zelani system and where the human fleet was coming from, there was a space station called Haven Port. It was a place where traders from many different races came to buy and sell things. Alex needed to stop there to gather information about the Corthic, and to send the message back to Admiral Morrison. Haven Port was built inside a large asteroid. Ships from a dozen different worlds were docked there. Alex made his ship look like a regular trader vessel and requested permission to dock. The docking bay was full of aliens. Alex saw the tall, thin Vakari with their gray skin. There were short, round Bendi who rolled around on wheels instead of walking. The snake-like scifi moved between the other races, their scales changing colors as they talked. Alex went to a bar where spacers liked to drink and talk. He ordered something that looked like coffee, but tasted terrible. Then he listened to the conversations around him. "I hear the humans are coming," said a Vakari trader to his friend. "My cousin saw their ships moving toward Zelani space." The friend's eyes went wide. "The humans? Are you sure?" "Yes, 12 of their warships. The big ones." A Bendi rolled over to their table. "Did you say humans? The death dealers? Why would they come to Zelani space?" "The Zelani must have asked for help," said the Vakari. "My cousin says they sent a distress call 2 days ago." "The Corthic will not like that," said a scifi who had been listening. Her scales turned dark red, which Alex knew meant she was afraid. "The Corthic think they are the strongest warriors in the galaxy. But everyone knows what humans did to the Vorthan raiders." Alex remembered that battle. The Vorthan had attacked 3 human colony worlds, killing thousands of innocent people. The human response had been swift and terrible. An entire Vorthan fleet had been destroyed in less than 6 hours. No Vorthan ship had escaped to tell the story. "What about the Red Moon campaign?" asked the Bendi. "I heard the humans landed ground troops on Krolex Prime and wiped out an entire army in 1 day." "1 day?" said the Vakari. "It was 6 hours. 6 hours to destroy an army that had conquered 12 worlds." The scifi's scales turned almost black. "My brother was trading near Krolex space when it happened. He said you could see the explosions from 3 systems away. The humans turned the whole moon into glass." Alex sipped his terrible drink and listened to more stories. Each one made humans sound more dangerous than the last. Some of the stories were true, some were not. But Alex could see that every alien in the bar was afraid of human military power. "I heard," said another voice, "that human ships can think for themselves. They don't need pilots." "No, that's not right," said the Vakari. "Human ships are smart, but they still need people to tell them what to do. The scary part is how fast human crews can think. They see patterns in battle that other races cannot see." A new alien joined the group. This one was tall and covered in fur with sharp teeth. Alex recognized him as a Thraxi, a race that was known for being good fighters. "You want to know what makes humans really dangerous?" the Thraxi said. "It's not their ships or their weapons. It's that they fight for things that are not their own. Most races only fight to protect their own people or their own worlds. Humans will fight and die for complete strangers." "That makes no sense," said the Bendi. "Why would anyone risk their lives for aliens they don't even know?" The Thraxi showed his sharp teeth in what might have been a smile. "That's what makes them dangerous. You can predict what most races will do. They will run when the fight gets too hard. They will make deals to save their own lives. But humans?" He shook his head. "Humans will keep fighting even when they know they will die. They will fight harder when they are protecting others than when they are protecting themselves." Alex finished his drink and left the bar. He had heard enough. As he walked back to his ship, he heard more conversations about the coming battle. Word was spreading fast through the station. In another part of the station, Alex found a communication booth where he could send a secure message back to Admiral Morrison. The message was short, but contained everything the Admiral needed to know. 63 Corthic ships confirmed. Standard attack formation around planet. Heavy bombing of population centers ongoing. Enemy morale appears high, but intelligence suggests they do not know humans are coming. Station rumors indicate galaxy-wide fear of human military capabilities. Korthik ground forces estimated at 50,000 troops. Zelani resistance minimal. Will return to fleet in 8 hours. As Alex prepared to leave the station, he heard a commotion in the main docking bay. A group of Korthik soldiers had arrived on a supply ship. They were tall and covered in dark scales, with red eyes that seemed to glow in the station's lights. Each one carried weapons that could kill most aliens with one shot. Korthik leader was talking loudly to the station manager, a nervous Nakari who kept bowing. "We need supplies for our fleet," the Korthik said. "Food, ammunition, and medical." "Supplies. We have a war to finish." "Of course, honored warriors," said the station manager. "How goes the conquest of the Zelani world?" The Korthik leader laughed, showing teeth like broken glass. "It is no conquest. It is an extermination. The blueskins are weak. They hide in their cities and cry for help that will never come. In 3 more days, their world will be empty, except for the slaves we choose to keep. What if help does come?" asked a brave trader. "I heard rumors, ... The Korthik's eyes glowed brighter. "Rumors? What rumors?" "Nothing, honored warrior. Just silly talk about other races getting involved. No other race would dare challenge the Korthik Empire," the soldier said. "We have conquered 47 worlds. We have never been defeated in battle. The Zelani called for help, but no one answered. No one will answer." Alex slipped quietly back to his ship and prepared to leave. But as he was starting his engines, he heard something that made him smile. A message was playing over the stations. "Communication system. Attention all ships and personnel. This is Admiral Jake Morrison of the Earth Federation Fleet. Any Korthik forces in this area are advised that human military vessels are approaching. You have 24 hours to withdraw from Zelani space before we arrive. This is your only warning." A reaction on the station was immediate. Alex could hear shouting and running footsteps through his ship's walls. The Korthik soldiers in the docking bay were yelling at each other in their own language. Alex launched his ship and headed back toward the human fleet. Behind him, he could see other ships leaving the station as fast as their engines would carry them. No one wanted to be near this place when the humans arrived as he flew through space. Alex thought about what he had heard in the bar. The galaxy was afraid of humans, but they were also amazed by them. Other races fought for profit or survival. Humans fought for what was right. Soon, the Korthik Empire would learn why the galaxy feared Earth's warships. They would learn that humans were different from every other race they had conquered. And they would learn that some wars cannot be won by being bigger or stronger. The human fleet was coming, and with it, the storm that would shake the galaxy. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Zelani system like thunder breaking the sky. 12 massive warships appeared where empty space had been just seconds before. Each ship was 3 kilometers long and bristled with weapons that could turn mountains into dust. Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of the Valiant, looking at the screens that showed him the battlefield ahead. The Zelani homeworld hung in space like a wounded animal, covered in smoke and fire. Around it, 63 Korthik ships moved in formations that looked like hungry sharks circling their prey. "Ben, give me a full report," Morrison said to Lieutenant Parker, who was studying the enemy positions. "Sir, the Korthik have arranged their ships in 3 groups. 20 ships are close to the planet, bombing cities and military bases. Another 20 are in middle orbit, probably protecting the bombers. The last 23 are spread out at the edge of the system, watching for anyone who might try to help." "What about their ground forces?" "Scanner shows heavy troop presence." in all major Zelani cities. They've set up slave camps outside the capital. Sir, from what we can see, they're not just conquering the planet. They're trying to wipe out the entire Zelani race. Morrison felt anger burn in his chest like acid. The Korthik were not just soldiers. They were killers who enjoyed causing pain. The galaxy would be better without them. Lisa, open a channel to the Korthik fleet commander. Channel open, sir. The main screen flickered, then showed the face of a Korthik general. His scales were darker than his soldiers, and old scars crossed his face like a map of all the battles. He had won. His red eyes glowed with the confidence of someone who had never been defeated. I am General Thrakmor of the Korthik Empire, the alien said in a voice like grinding stone. You are trespassing in territory claimed by the Empire. Leave now or be destroyed. Morrison stepped forward so the Korthik could see him clearly. I am Admiral Jake Morrison of the Earth Federation Fleet. You are attacking a peaceful world and murdering innocent people. You have one chance to withdraw your forces and leave this system. This is your only warning. Thrakmor's mouth opened to show rows of sharp teeth. It might have been a smile, but it looked more like a threat. Earth, I have heard of your little world. You are young and foolish. The Korthik Empire has conquered 47 worlds. We have never been defeated. Your 12 ships against my 63? You are either very brave or very stupid. Maybe both, Morrison replied. But here's something you should know about humans, General. We don't fight to conquer or to take things that belong to others. We fight to protect people who cannot protect themselves. And when humans fight for something they believe in, we don't lose. Old words from someone about to die, Thrakmor said. I will enjoy adding human skulls to my collection. You're welcome to try, Morrison said calmly. But first, let me tell you what's going to happen. In the next hour, your fleet will be destroyed. Your ground forces will surrender or be eliminated. And you will learn why the galaxy fears human warships. End transmission. The screen went dark. The bridge was quiet for a moment as the crew prepared for battle. Sir, said Ryan Davis, they outnumber us more than 5 to 1. Are you sure about this? Morrison looked at his tactical officer with eyes like steel. Ryan, how many battles have we fought together? 14, sir. And how many times have we been outnumbered? Every time, sir. And how many times have we lost? Ryan smiled. Never, sir. Then let's make it 15 and 0. Rachel, take your squadron and hit their outer perimeter. Show them what human precision looks like. Captain Rachel Stone's voice came through the communication system from her ship, the U.E.'s Thunder. Understood, Admiral. We'll punch a hole in their line big enough to fly a moon through. 4 human destroyers broke away from the main fleet and accelerated toward the Korthik outer ships. The enemy vessels were spread out in a loose formation, expecting any attack to come from the front. In a straight line. That was how most alien races fought, head-on, ship against ship, until the stronger side won. But humans had learned to fight differently. Rachel's ships moved like dancers, each one following a pattern that looked random, but was perfectly planned. They used the gravity of nearby asteroids to change direction without slowing down. They appeared behind enemy ships when the Korthik expected them to be in front. The first Korthik ship died before its crew knew they were under attack. Rachel's destroyer, the Thunder, fired a beam of concentrated energy that cut through the enemy ship's armor like a knife through paper. The ship exploded in a ball of fire and metal. First kill confirmed, Rachel reported. Moving to target. 2. The Korthik ships tried to turn and fight, but they were too slow and too clumsy. Human ships were smaller and faster, and their crews had trained for thousands of hours to work together like parts of a single machine. Within 10 minutes, Rachel's squadron had destroyed 8 enemy ships and damaged 5 more. Not one human ship had taken serious damage. "Impossible," came Thrackmore's voice over the communication channel. "How are you doing this?" "We're humans," Morrison replied simply. "This is what we do." The Admiral turned to his weapons officer. "Steve, initiate Protocol 7. "Commander." Steve Walsh's hands moved quickly over his controls. "Protocol 7 active, sir. All ships linking targeting systems now." Protocol 7 was something only human fleets could do. It connected all 12 ships into one giant fighting machine. Each ship could see what every other ship was seeing. Each weapon could be aimed by any ship in the fleet. The 12 separate. Warships became 12 parts of one massive weapon. The effect was immediate and terrifying to watch. The human fleet moved with perfect coordination, like a school of fish that could shoot death from every direction. Korthic ships found themselves under attack from enemies they couldn't see, from angles they couldn't predict. "Ben, take us into the middle group," Morrison ordered. "Let's see how they like fighting when they can't predict what we'll do next." The Valiant and her sister ships accelerated toward the 20 Korthic vessels protecting the planet bombers. The enemy ships formed a defensive wall, just like their military books said they should. But human military books were different. Instead of attacking the wall head-on, the human ships split into 3 groups. One group went over the enemy formation, one went under it, and one went straight through the middle. The Korthic found themselves surrounded, with human ships shooting at them from 6 different directions at once. "This is impossible," one Korthic captain screamed over the radio. "No race fights like this." "We're not like other races," Morrison said, as his ship's weapons destroyed another enemy vessel. "We're humans. We adapt, we overcome, and we protect those who cannot protect themselves." The battle in the middle orbit lasted only 20 minutes. When it was over, 15 Korthic ships were destroyed, and the other 5 were badly damaged and trying to escape. The human fleet had not lost a single ship. "All ships, advance on the planetary bombers," Morrison ordered. "It's time to end this." The 20 Korthic ships that had been bombing the planet tried to run when they saw the human fleet approaching. But they were heavy with bombs and slow to move. The human ships caught them before they could escape. "General Thrackmore," Morrison said over the communication channel, "order your ships to surrender. Your fleet is beaten. Don't make this worse by forcing us to destroy every one of your ships." Thrackmore's image appeared on the screen again. His confident expression was gone, replaced by something that looked like fear and confusion. "You ... You have defeated 40 of my ships with only 12 of yours. This is not possible. The Korthic Empire has never been defeated in battle." "Then today is a day of new experiences for you," Morrison replied. "Surrender now, and your remaining crews will live. Continue fighting, and we will destroy every ship in your fleet." Thrackmore was quiet for a long moment. Around him, Morrison could hear other Korthic officers arguing in their own language. Some wanted to keep fighting, others wanted to retreat. And some, Morrison realized, were starting to understand that humans were not like any enemy they had ever faced. We will not surrender," Thrackmore finally said, but his voice lacked the confidence it had before. "The Korthic Empire does not bow to inferior races," Morrison sighed. He had hoped the Korthic would be smart enough to give up. But some lessons could only be taught with fire and steel. "Very well, General. Tony Nicole, finish this. Make it quick." The remaining human ships moved in for the final attack. The Korthic fought bravely, but bravery alone was not enough against superior tactics and training. One by one, their ships were destroyed or crippled until only Thrackmore's flagship remained. "General," Morrison said, "you have one ship left. Your fleet is gone. Your invasion has failed. Surrender now, and you and your crew can return to your own space. Refuse, and you will die here with your ship." Thrackmore looked around his bridge at his surviving officers. For the first time in his life, he was facing total defeat. The Korthak Empire had always won through superior numbers and brutality. They had never faced an enemy that could outthink them and outfight them at the same time. I yield," he said finally. "The Korthak fleet surrenders to ... to the humans." Morrison nodded. "Smart choice, General. Now order your ground forces to surrender as well. If they refuse, we double you." News of the defeat traveled through space faster than the speed of light. Within hours, every corner of the galaxy knew that the mighty Korthak Empire had been crushed by 12 human ships. But the story was far from over. Deep in Korthak space, another fleet was already moving toward the Zelani system. This one was bigger than the first. Over 100 ships commanded by War Marshal Krixtal, Thrackmore's older brother. Unlike Thrackmore, who had been overconfident, Krixtal was careful and smart. He had studied every report about human military tactics he could find. "The humans defeated my brother because he underestimated them," Krixtal told his officers as their fleet approached the Zelani system. He thought numbers alone would win. But humans fight differently than other races. They coordinate their attacks in ways we have never seen before. Then how do we defeat them, War Marshal? Asked Captain Vexka, commander of the battleship Bone Crusher. "By being smarter than they are," Krixtal replied. "We will not attack them in space where they have the advantage. We will force them to come to us on the planet's surface, where our superior numbers and ground weapons will destroy them." Admiral Morrison was on the bridge of the Valiant when the warning came through. Lieutenant Ben Parker looked up from his scanner with worry on his face. "Sir, we have a problem. Long-range sensors are picking up another Korthak fleet, much bigger than the first one." "How many ships?" Morrison asked. 112, sir. And they're carrying heavy ground assault equipment. It looks like they plan to land on the planet and force us to fight them there." Morrison studied the tactical display. This was exactly what he had been afraid of. The first Korthak fleet had been overconfident and careless. This new force would be different, more careful, more dangerous. "How long until they arrive?" 6 hours, sir." Morrison turned to his communication officer. "Lisa, get me Colonel Amy Rodriguez. It's time to wake up the ground troops." Colonel Rodriguez appeared on the screen a few minutes later. She was a tough woman with short black hair and scars on her hands from a dozen battles. Behind her, Morrison could see human soldiers preparing their equipment and checking their weapons. "Amy, we have incoming trouble. 100 Korthak ships with heavy ground forces. They're going to try to take the planet and force us to fight them on the surface." Amy smiled, but it was not a pleasant smile. "How many ground troops are we talking about, sir?" "Intelligence estimates around 70,000 Korthak soldiers, plus heavy armor and artillery." "Against our 5,000 Marines?" "Yes." Amy's smile got wider. "Poor bastards, they have no idea what they're walking into." Morrison almost felt sorry for the Korthak. Almost. Amy Rodriguez had led human ground forces through some of the worst battles in the galaxy. Her Marines were trained to fight in any environment, against any enemy. They were fast, smart, and absolutely ruthless when protecting innocent people. "Amy, I need you to coordinate with the Zelani resistance. Find out where their people are hiding and make sure they stay safe while we deal with this new fleet." "Already on it, sir." "I've been talking to their resistance leader, a female named Kalai. She says they have about 2 million people hidden in underground shelters. The Korthak don't know where most of them are." "Good. Keep it that way." 6 hours later, the second Korthak fleet arrived. War Marshal Crickstall kept his ships far away from the human fleet, just as Morrison had expected. Instead, the Korthik ships began landing troops on the planet's surface at multiple locations. "They're learning," Morrison said to Ryan Davis. "This commander is smarter than his brother. What's our move, sir?" Morrison studied the tactical display, showing Korthik landing sites spread across 3 continents. "We give them what they want. Ground combat. Steve, initiate the full Protocol 7 network, including ground units." Commander Walsh looked surprised. "Sir, are you sure? We've never tried to link space and ground forces before. There's a first time for everything. Amy's Marines are about to show the galaxy why human ground troops are even more dangerous than our ships." On the planet's surface, Colonel Rodriguez watched Korthik dropships landing in a valley 20 kilometers from the main Zilani city. Through her binoculars, she could see thousands of enemy soldiers forming up into attack formations. "Captain Pete Johnson," she said into her radio. "What's your position?" "We're on the ridge overlooking the valley, Colonel. Perfect view of the enemy landing zone. How many do you count?" "About 15,000 in this group alone. They have heavy tanks and artillery pieces. Looks like they're planning to march straight at the city." Amy smiled. The Korthik were doing exactly what she had hoped they would do. They were thinking like most alien races. Put the biggest army in the field and march it straight at the enemy. "Pete, deploy your squads according to Pattern Delta. Make sure every exit from that valley is covered." "Pattern Delta? Colonel, that's going to be a massacre." "That's the idea." Pattern Delta was a human military tactic that had been used to destroy alien armies on a dozen worlds. It looked simple on paper, but it required perfect timing and coordination between hundreds of soldiers working together. The Korthik army began marching toward the Zilani city, just as Amy had predicted. 15,000 soldiers in perfect formation, with tanks and artillery supporting them. To any normal observer, it looked like an unstoppable force, but Amy's Marines were not normal soldiers. The first sign that something was wrong came when the Korthik scouts at the front of the army simply disappeared. One moment they were there, the next moment they were gone. No shots were fired, no bodies were found. They just vanished. "Where are the scouts?" demanded General Hector, the commander of the ground forces. "Unknown, sir. They stopped reporting 10 minutes ago. Send more scouts. And tell them to stay in contact." But the second group of scouts disappeared too. And the third. Soon, General Hector realized that something was hunting his soldiers, picking them off one by one without making a sound. "Human soldiers," he said to his officers. "They're using stealth tactics." "How many humans could there be?" asked his aide. "Our intelligence says only 5,000. "It doesn't matter how many there are," Hector replied. "We will crush them with superior firepower. Order all units to advance at maximum speed. Fire on anything that moves." But when the Korthik army tried to advance faster, they discovered that the humans had been busy during the night. The road through the valley was blocked with obstacles that looked like natural rock falls, but were actually carefully placed barriers. The main army was forced to split into smaller groups to get around the obstacles. That was exactly what Amy had been waiting for. "All units, execute Pattern Delta," she ordered. What happened next was not really a battle. It was more like a carefully planned disaster that fell on the Korthik army, like an avalanche. Human soldiers appeared from hiding places that the Korthik had not even known existed. They came from behind rocks, from underground tunnels, from trees that had looked empty minutes before. Each group of humans attacked a small piece of the Korthik army, then disappeared before reinforcements could arrive. The Korthik had trained to fight in large formations against other large formations. They did not know how to deal with an enemy. that attacked in small groups from unexpected directions. Their heavy weapons were useless because they could not see targets to shoot at. "We're under attack from all sides," reported one Korthik captain. "Request immediate support. Where are they attacking from?" General Hector demanded. "Everywhere. They're everywhere." In space above the planet, Admiral Morrison watched the battle through satellites and cameras carried by his ground troops. The Protocol 7 network allowed him to see everything that was happening on the surface in real time. "Amy's doing good work down there," he said to Ryan Davis. "But the Korthik still have reinforcements coming." "Sir, another 60,000 troops are landing on the other continents. They're trying to surround our ground forces." Morrison nodded. He had expected this too. "Tony, Nicole, take your squadrons and start hitting their landing ships. Don't let any more troops reach the surface." The human ships dove toward the planet like eagles hunting prey. They moved between the Korthik fleet with speed and precision that the enemy could not match. Landing ships exploded in balls of fire before they could discharge their troops. Transport vessels were destroyed before they could unload their supplies. War Marshal Krixtal watched his carefully planned invasion falling apart. In space, human ships were destroying his transports faster than he could protect them. On the ground, his armies were being torn apart by an enemy they could barely see. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. "We have them outnumbered 20-1 on the surface." "Sir," reported his intelligence officer, "it appears that human soldiers do not fight the way other races fight. They work together in small groups that can appear and disappear quickly. Each group seems to know exactly what every other group is doing. That's impossible. No race can coordinate that many small units at once. But it was possible, and the humans were proving it." Every Marine on the planet was connected through the Protocol 7 network. They could see what their comrades were seeing, know where their enemies were, and coordinate attacks with perfect timing. Colonel Rodriguez stood on a hill overlooking the valley with the 1st Korthak Army. The battle for the Zelani homeworld had been raging for 3 days when War Marshal Krixtal made his final, desperate decision. His fleet was broken, his armies were scattered, and the humans seemed to be everywhere at once. But he still had one weapon left, something so terrible that even the Korthik Empire used it only when facing complete defeat. "Prepare the planet killer weapons," he ordered his surviving officers. Captain Vexka stared at his commander in shock. "Sir, the planet killers? But there are still 50,000 of our own troops on the surface." "They are already lost," Krixtal said coldly. "The humans have made fools of us. If we cannot have this world, then no one will. Fire the planet killers. Destroy everything." Admiral Morrison was on the bridge of the Valiant when the warning came through. Lieutenant Ben Parker's face went white as he read his instruments. "Sir, the Korthik ships are powering up some kind of massive weapons. Energy signatures are off the charts." "What kind of weapons?" Morrison demanded. "Planet killers, sir. They're going to try to destroy the entire world rather than let us save it." Morrison felt ice form in his stomach. Planet killer weapons could turn a living world into a ball of dead rock in minutes. The Zelani people, his own ground troops, everything would be destroyed. "How long until they can fire?" 2 minutes, sir." Morrison's mind raced through options. His ships could try to attack the Korthik vessels, but they would never reach them in time. The planet killers were already charging, and once they fired, nothing could stop them. Unless ... "Steve, can we link all our ship's main weapons into a single beam?" Commander Walsh looked at his controls with wide eyes. "Sir, that's never been attempted. The power requirements alone could tear our ships apart. Can we do it? Theoretically, yes. But if we channel that much energy through the Protocol 7 network, we might lose half the fleet." Morrison looked at the tactical display showing the Korthik planet killers almost ready to fire. Below them, 2 million Zelani civilians were hiding in underground shelters, trusting that humanity would protect them. On the surface, 5,000 human Marines were fighting to save people. They had never met. "Do it," Morrison ordered. "All ships, prepare for solar flare formation." "Sir," said Ryan Davis, "are you sure about this?" "We could lose everything." Morrison turned to his oldest friend with eyes like steel. "Ryan, those people down there saved human lives when we needed help. Now they need us. I'd rather die trying to save them than live knowing I let them die." Ryan nodded and began working at his station. Around the bridge, every officer prepared for the most dangerous maneuver in human naval history. "Lisa, send a message to all ships," Morrison said. "Tell them what we're attempting and ask for volunteers. Any ship that doesn't want to risk destruction can break away now." Lisa sent the message and waited for responses. One by one, every ship in the fleet reported back with the same answer. "Ready to proceed, Admiral?" Captain Lavra Bennett's voice came through from the engineering section. "Admiral, I've linked our main reactor to the weapon systems. But sir, if this doesn't work exactly right, the energy feedback will destroy us." "Understood, Lavra. How long do we have?" "The Korthik planet killers will fire in 30 seconds. We need to fire at exactly the same moment they do, or the weapons. We'll get through." Morrison watched the countdown on his screen. Around him, his crew worked with the calm precision that came from years of training and absolute trust in each other. 10 seconds, Lavra reported. "All ships report ready." 5 seconds. Morrison gripped the arms of his command chair. "Fire." The 12 human ships fired as one. Their individual weapon beams merged into a single lance of energy, brighter than a star. The combined power of the entire fleet focused into one devastating attack that shot across space toward the Korthik planet killers. The timing was perfect. The human beams struck the Korthik weapons just as they were firing. The planet killer missiles exploded before they could leave their launchers, creating a chain reaction that destroyed half of the remaining Korthik fleet in a single instant. But the cost to the human fleet was terrible. 3 ships were completely destroyed by the energy feedback, their hulls cracking apart like broken glass. 5 more were badly damaged, their engines dead and their weapons offline. Morrison felt the Valiant shake around him as overloaded systems failed throughout the ship. Emergency lights flickered on as the main power died. "Damage report," he called. "Out. We've lost main engines and half our weapons," Lavra reported. "But we're alive, sir, and the planet is safe." On his screen, Morrison could see the surviving Korthik ships retreating toward the edge of the system. War Marshal Kriegstahl's flagship was among them, but it was badly damaged and limping away on emergency power. "Sir," said Lisa, "incoming transmission from the Korthik flagship." "Put it through." Kriegstahl appeared on the screen, his face a mixture of rage and something that might have been respect. Behind him, smoke filled his bridge and sparks flew from broken equipment. "You have defeated the Korthik Empire," he said slowly. "Something that has never been done before." "How?" Morrison looked at the alien commander with tired eyes. "We fought for something bigger than ourselves. You fought for conquest and glory. We fought to protect innocent people. That made all the difference. I do not understand." "Maybe someday you will," Morrison replied. "Now get out of this system and don't come back. If I see Korthik ships in Zelani space again, I won't be so merciful." Kriegstahl's image disappeared from the screen. Minutes later, the surviving Korthik ships jumped into hyperspace and fled toward their own territory. Colonel Amy Rodriguez was standing in the main square of the Zelani capital when the news came through that the planet killers had been destroyed. Around her, thousands of Zelani civilians were emerging from their hiding places, looking up at the sky where human ships had saved their world. "Colonel," said Captain Pete Johnson, "all Corthay ground forces have surrendered or retreated. The planet is secure." Amy nodded, but her attention was focused on a group of Zelani children who had come out of an underground shelter. They looked thin and scared, but alive. One of them, a little girl with blue skin and large eyes, walked up to Amy and said something in the Zelani language. "What did she say?" Amy asked her translator. "She says thank you for saving her family. She wants to know if the bad soldiers are really gone." Amy knelt down so she was at the child's eye level. "Yes, little one. The bad soldiers are gone. You're safe now." The child smiled for the first time in days and ran back to her family. Amy watched her go and felt something warm in her chest. This was why humans fought. Not for glory or conquest, but for moments like this. 3 days later, Admiral Morrison stood in the Zelani council chamber, surrounded by the planet's surviving leaders. His uniform was torn and dirty, and he looked like he had not slept in a week, but he was here to finish what they had started. Elder Zefka, the senior Zelani leader, stood before Morrison with tears in his large eyes. "Admiral, your people have saved our world. We can never repay this debt." "You already did," Morrison replied. 20 years ago, your doctors saved millions of human lives during the Martian plague. We're even." "No," said Zefka. "What you have done goes far beyond repaying an old debt. You came to help people you barely knew, fought an enemy that outnumbered you greatly, and risked everything to protect us. This is not something that can be measured or repaid." Morrison was quiet. For a moment, thinking about all the human lives that had been lost in the battle. 3 ships destroyed, hundreds of crew members dead. But millions of Zelani were alive because of their sacrifice. "Elder Zefka, my government has authorized me to offer you a formal alliance between Earth and the Zelani Federation. We would like to establish a permanent presence in your system to make sure nothing like this happens again." The Zelani leader's eyes went wide. "You would do this? You would stay to protect us?" "If you'll have us." "Yes," Zefka said immediately. "Yes, we would be honored to have human protectors." As Morrison left the council chamber, he found Lisa Carter waiting for him in the hallway. "Sir, we're receiving messages from all over the galaxy. Dozens of other peaceful races are asking for protection from aggressive empires. The Tharaki Republic wants us to help them against the Vex Consortium. The Marani Union is asking for aid against pirate raids. Sir, it seems like half the galaxy wants Earth's help." Morrison looked out a window at the Zelani city, where human marines were helping rebuild damaged buildings. In the distance, he could see human ships taking position in orbit, ready to protect this world from any future threats. "Signal Earth Command," he said. "Tell them we're going to need a bigger fleet." As news of the human victory spread throughout the galaxy, every race began to reconsider their place in the cosmic order. The Corthic Empire, once feared throughout known space, had been defeated by a smaller human force. Other aggressive empires suddenly found themselves facing questions from their own citizens about whether conquest was worth the risk of facing Earth's warships. But for peaceful races throughout the galaxy, the news brought hope for the first time in generations. Humanity had proven that bullies could be stopped, that the strong could be defeated by the smart and the brave. On Earth, Admiral Morrison's final report was read by leaders who understood that their world had just become something new.
They came for Earth, and we gave them just one chance to turn back. Part 1. The world changed on a Tuesday. It was a normal day until it wasn't. People went to work, children went to school, and life moved along as it always had. Then the sky filled with strange lights. Admiral William Carter was enjoying his morning coffee when the call came. He was a tall man with gray hair at his temples and eyes that had seen too much war. The ringing phone made him frown. Calls this early were never good news, Carter, he answered. Sir, you need to come in now, said the voice of his aide. Something big just appeared near the moon. Carter didn't waste time asking questions. He dressed quickly and was in his car 5 minutes later. As he drove to the military base, he noticed people on the streets pointing up at the sky. Some had phones out taking pictures. Others just stared, mouths open. When he arrived at the command center of the USS Defiant, Earth's largest space defense ship, screens showed what had everyone so worried. 17 massive vessels hung in space between Earth and the moon. They were unlike anything humans had built. Each one was shaped like a giant spike with rings around its middle. They glowed with a pale blue light. What do we know? Carter asked as he walked onto the bridge. Lieutenant Susan Moore turned from her screen. She was young but smart, with short brown hair and quick hands that moved over the controls with ease. They just appeared, sir. No warning. Nothing on our radar until they were there. They're bigger than anything we've ever seen. The smallest. One is about 3 miles long. Carter stared at the screen. Have they made contact? No, sir. We've sent messages on all known frequencies. No response. How many people know about this? Everyone, sir. They're visible from Earth without telescopes. Social media is going crazy. The president will address the nation in 1 hour. Carter nodded. He had hoped for more time, but there was no hiding something this big. Keep trying to contact them. I want all defense systems ready, but no one fires unless I give the order. In Washington, D.C., the United Nations Security Council held an emergency meeting. Leaders from around the world joined by video call, their faces showing the same mix of fear and confusion. Dr. Alan Brooks rushed into the meeting room carrying a laptop and several books. He was not a military man. His whole life had been spent at universities, studying how aliens might communicate if humans ever met them. Now his theories were being put to the test. Dr. Brooks, said the president, tell us what you think. Are they here peacefully? Brooks ran a hand through his messy hair. I can't say for sure. The fact that they haven't attacked is a good sign, but they also haven't answered our messages, which is concerning. General Patricia Wilson, head of Earth Defense Forces, spoke up. We should strike first. Show them we're strong. No, Brooks said quickly. That would be a terrible mistake. Their technology is clearly far beyond ours. If they wanted to attack, they would have done so already. The president looked between them. We will not fire first, but we will be ready if they do. On the Defiant, Carter watched as small ships began to leave the alien vessels. They were round and flat like discs and moved faster than anything humans had built. Where are they going? He asked. Susan checked her screens. They're heading toward our defense platforms in orbit. Earth had built 12 defense platforms that circled the planet. They were armed with missiles and energy weapons, designed to protect against asteroids or, though no one had really believed it would happen, alien attacks. Warn the platforms. Tell them to track but not engage, Carter ordered. But before his message could reach them, 3 of the defense platforms exploded in bright flashes of light. The alien ships had fired some kind of energy beam without warning. They've opened fire, Susan shouted. Carter felt a cold weight in his stomach. This was now war. All ships defensive positions. Return fire on any alien vessel that approaches Earth's atmosphere. Across the planet, people watched the lights in the sky change. The peaceful blue glow of the alien ships turned to bright flashes as Earth's defenses engaged. In New York, crowds gathered in Times Square, watching on huge screens as news helicopters captured what footage they could from below. In Tokyo, people filled the streets, eyes turned upward. In London, Paris, and Moscow, it was the same. On the International Space Station, astronauts had the clearest view of all. They sent back video of the alien ships, enormous against the blackness of space. They're like nothing we've ever seen, reported Commander Joe Lewis. Their ships seem to bend light around them, and they're fast, impossibly fast. Earth's military scrambled to respond. Fighter jets took off from bases around the world, though. Everyone knew they couldn't reach orbit where the battle was happening. Nuclear missiles were made ready, but politicians argued about using them. A nuclear explosion in space could affect satellites and the space station. In his university office, Dr. Brooks worked frantically with his team, trying every possible way to communicate with the aliens. They sent mathematical sequences, pictures, music, anything that might be understood across the gap between species. "Why aren't they talking to us?" asked his assistant, Linda Green. "They must have some way to communicate." "Maybe they don't see the need," Brooks said quietly. "Maybe to them, we're not worth talking to." That thought chilled everyone in the room. On the Defiant, Carter ordered his ship to move closer to the alien fleet. It was a risk, but they needed better information. "Sir," Susan said suddenly, "one of the alien ships is breaking formation. It's heading toward Earth." Carter watched the screen as one of the spike-shaped vessels moved away from the others. It was coming directly toward them. "All weapons lock on that ship," he ordered. "If it comes within firing range, take it down." But before they could act, more of the smaller disk ships launched from the alien vessel. Dozens of them, then hundreds, all heading toward Earth. The first invasion of Earth had begun. They came for Earth, and we gave them just one chance to turn back. Part 2. The alien ships fell toward Earth like rain. People around the world watched in fear as the sky filled with hundreds of disc-shaped craft. Military bases went on high. Alert. Fighters took off from runways. Missile systems locked onto targets. In the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Olivia Martinez worked in a secret underground lab. She was a small woman with fierce eyes and quick hands. Just hours ago, a team of soldiers had brought her something incredible, parts from a crashed alien scout ship. "What can you tell us?" asked the general who stood behind her. Olivia didn't look up from her work. "Their technology is like nothing I've ever seen. The metal isn't even metal as we understand it. It's some kind of grown material." She moved to another table where a device the size of a basketball sat under bright lights. It glowed with the same blue light as the alien ships. "This seems to be their power source. It generates energy in a way that breaks some of our understanding of physics." The general frowned. "That's interesting, Doctor. But what I need to know is how to stop them." Olivia finally looked up. "I'm working on that, but first we need to understand why they're here." In a bunker beneath the White House, world leaders gathered in an emergency meeting. Screens showed the battle in space. Earth's ships fought bravely, but they were being destroyed one by one. The president stood at the head of the table. "What do they want? Why attack us without even trying to talk?" Dr. Brooks, who had been studying the aliens' movements, spoke up. "I believe I know. Look at the pattern of their attacks." He pointed to a map showing where the alien ships were landing. "They're targeting our major mining operations, power plants, and water reserves. They're not after our cities or people, at least not primarily. They want our resources." "Like locusts," someone said quietly. "Exactly," Brooks nodded. "They may be a species that travels from planet to planet, taking what they need, then moving on." Outside the bunker, the world was in chaos. In major cities, people fled or sought shelter. Some prayed. Others looted stores for supplies. Military forces tried to maintain order while also preparing to fight an enemy they didn't understand. Jack Robinson led a team of Special Forces soldiers through the empty streets of Denver. He was a man built like a bull, with broad shoulders and a square jaw. His team moved carefully, weapons ready. "Command, this is Eagle Team," he said into his radio. "Downtown is clear of hostiles, but we've got a disk ship landed in City Park. Approach with caution," came the reply. "Observe only. Do not engage unless threatened." Jack signaled to his team, and they moved toward the park. From behind trees and buildings, they watched as strange figures moved around the alien craft. The beings were tall and thin, with 4 arms and skin that looked like polished stone. They wore no clothes or armor that the humans could see. "What are they doing?" whispered one of Jack's team. The aliens had devices that they pushed into the ground. After a moment, the grass around each device turned brown and died. "They're testing something," Jack said. "Taking samples, maybe." "Sir," another soldier pointed up. "More coming." 3 more disk ships descended toward the park. Jack knew they needed to report this. "Fall back," he ordered. "We need to—" One of the aliens turned suddenly, looking directly at them. It made a strange clicking sound, and the others turned too. "We've been spotted," Jack said. "Move!" His team ran as energy beams hit the ground around them. The concrete, where the beams struck, melted like butter. In space, the battle continued. Captain Laura Fisher commanded the Earth Defense Force ship Resilience. Her vessel was one of the few still fighting. "Status report," she called over the sound of alarms. "Shields at 20%, her officer replied. "Weapons at 40%. 3 more of our ships just went down." Laura looked at the tactical display. The alien fleet was overwhelming Earth's defenses through sheer numbers and technology. They were losing badly. "New plan," she said. "Target? They're smaller ships. We can't hurt the big ones, but maybe we can stop some of these fighters." The Resilience turned and fired its main cannons at a group of alien fighters. 2 exploded in bright flashes. "It worked," someone cheered. "Keep firing," Laura ordered. "Every ship we stop is one less attacking Earth." Back in the mountain lab, Olivia made a breakthrough. She had connected the alien power device to a computer and was studying the data. "This is incredible," she said, eyes wide. "Their entire civilization runs on technology that breaks down matter into energy." "What does that mean for us?" asked the general. "It means they're here to mine our planet. Not just for metals or water, but for everything. Their ships can convert entire chunks of a planet into energy and raw materials." The general's face went pale. "Are you saying they plan to eat our planet?" "Not exactly eat, but yes, consume it. Based on what I'm seeing in their navigation charts, they've done this to hundreds of worlds." She pointed to star maps she had extracted from the alien device. "Each of these marks is a planet they've harvested. They move through space like locusts, consuming everything in their path. Can we communicate with them? Make them understand we're an intelligent species?" Olivia studied more data. "That's the problem. Their biology is completely different from ours. They're silicon-based life forms, not carbon-based like us. They may not even recognize us as alive in the same way they are." In the bunker, the president received this information with a grim face. "So they see us as no different than the rocks and trees they plan to process," he said. "It appears so," Dr. Brooks confirmed. "To them, our buildings and technology might just look like unusual mineral formations. Then we need to show them we're more than that," the president said. "We need to make them understand that Earth will fight back." Around the world, human forces engaged the alien scouts wherever they landed. The battles were fierce and often one-sided, but occasionally humans won small victories. In Russia, tanks managed to destroy an alien disk by firing at it from multiple directions at once. In Brazil, fighter jets lured alien ships into a mountain range where hidden missile batteries waited. In Egypt, soldiers discovered that the aliens were vulnerable to high-frequency sound waves. Small victories, but not enough. The main alien ship still hung in orbit untouched by Earth's weapons. And more scout ships continued to land every hour. Humanity needed a bigger solution, and fast. They came for Earth, and we gave them just one chance to turn back. Part 3 deep beneath the Nevada desert, in a facility that did not exist on any map, Dr. Frank Delgado stood before his life's work. He was an old man with thick glasses and hands that shook slightly. Behind him, armed guards watched his every move. The room was large and round. In the center stood a strange device, a metal sphere about 6 feet wide, covered in wires and blinking lights. It pulsed with a soft blue glow that seemed to come from inside the metal itself. "Project Thunderbolt," Delgado said to the small group of people who had just entered the room. "Something I hoped would never need to be used." President Howard stepped forward. He was a tall man with a serious face and tired eyes. The past 3 days of alien invasion had aged him visibly. "Explain it to me again, Doctor," the president said. "In simple terms." Delgado nodded. "It creates a bubble in space where the rules of physics change. Inside that bubble, complex technology stops working. Circuits fail, energy weapons die, engines shut down. And it won't hurt people? No. Living things are not affected. Only technology. The president looked at the device with doubt in his eyes. And you're sure it will work on alien technology? No, Delgado admitted. I'm not. Sure, this was built to stop human weapons, but all technology follows the same basic rules of physics. If we change those rules, how big is the effect? We can control that. Make it small enough for just one ship, or large enough for their whole fleet. And the risks? Delgado took off his glasses and cleaned them slowly. Many. This has never been tested at full power. The effect could be larger than we want. It could last longer than we predict. At worst. At worst? The president prompted. At worst, the bubble could grow out of control, change the rules of physics in an ever-expanding area. Meaning? Meaning all technology on Earth could stop working. Permanently. The room was silent for a long moment. We need to try something else, said one of the generals. Nuclear weapons won't work, interrupted Dr. Martinez, who had flown in from her Rocky Mountain lab. Their ships absorb energy. A nuclear blast would just make them stronger. What about regular weapons? Tanks, missiles? Too slow, Martinez shook her head. And their armor is too strong. The president walked in a slow circle around the Thunderbolt device. How would we deliver this thing to their ships? We have a stealth ship, said General Wilson. Experimental. It might get close enough to their mothership. Might? It's the best chance we have. The president looked at each face in the room. How long until the aliens finish what they started? Martinez checked her tablet. At their current rate of resource extraction, major damage to Earth's crust will begin in about 12 hours. Within 48 hours, the damage becomes irreversible. And what happens then? Then they break our planet apart, piece by piece, until there's nothing left but an asteroid field. The president closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, his decision was made. Prepare the Thunderbolt, and get me volunteers for the delivery mission. Commander Samantha Kelly walked through the underground hangar toward the sleek black ship waiting there. She was a tall woman with dark skin and short hair. Her face showed no fear, though her mission was nearly impossible. Behind her walked her team, pilot Ryan Garcia, a young man with quick hands and quicker reflexes, engineer Kevin Adams, who knew the stealth ship systems better than anyone, and specialist Diana Wright, an expert in alien biology. Final briefing, Kelly said as they reached the ship. We fly up through the atmosphere using the stealth systems. The ship should be invisible to their sensors. We dock with the alien mothership at this point. She showed them a diagram on her tablet. Once inside, we move to their central chamber. Here, plant the Thunderbolt device, set the timer for 10 minutes, then we get out before it activates. And if we meet aliens inside? Asked Garcia. Kelly patted the weapon at her hip. High-frequency sonic guns, Dr. Martinez says they should work. Should, Adams mumbled. This whole mission is a should, Kelly replied, but it's all we've got. They boarded the ship. It was cramped inside, barely room for the four of them, plus the Thunderbolt device, which sat secured in a special cradle. Garcia began the launch sequence. Stealth systems active, engine output masked. We're as invisible as we'll ever be. The hangar doors above them slid open, revealing a night sky filled with distant lights, the alien fleet. Let's go, Kelly ordered. The ship rose silently into the air. No rockets, no flame, just the quiet hum of advanced engines that barely disturbed the air around them. On screens inside the ship, they watched the world below. Cities dark to hide from alien scouts, forests burning where battles had been fought, and strange circular patterns where the aliens had begun extracting resources, leaving dead zones nothing would ever grow in again. Stay focused, Kelly reminded them all, and herself. As they left the atmosphere, the true scale of the alien fleet became clear. 17 massive ships, arranged in a pattern around Earth. The smallest was larger than anything humans had ever built. The largest, the mothership they were heading for, was the size of a small city. How can they even build something that big? Whispered Wright. They've had longer to practice, Adams replied. Maybe thousands of years longer. Garcia guided their small ship carefully through the debris of battle. Dead human ships and stations floated in orbit, along with the wrecks of a few smaller alien vessels. Almost to the mothership, Garcia reported. No sign they've detected us. The alien mothership grew larger on their screens. Up close, its surface wasn't smooth as it had appeared from Earth. It was covered in strange patterns and structures that seemed to move and shift as they watched. It's alive, Wright said suddenly. What? Kelly turned to her. The ship. It's partly alive. Look at the patterns. They're like circulation systems, blood vessels. Can it see us then? Garcia asked, hands tightening on the controls. I don't think so. Not in the way we understand sight, but it might sense us in other ways. Kelly checked the Thunderbolt device. It hummed softly, ready to activate when the time came. There, she pointed. That opening. Can you get us in there? Garcia nodded and adjusted their course. The small human ship slipped into an enormous bay in the side of the alien mothership. Inside was a cavernous space filled with the disc-shaped scout ships they had seen attacking Earth. Dock there between those two structures, Kelly ordered. Try not to touch anything. Garcia guided the ship to a landing on what appeared to be a flat surface. The engines shut down. Suit up, Kelly said. We don't know if we can breathe their air. They put on their helmets and checked their weapons one last time. Adams, Wright, you carry the device. Garcia and I will take point. Adams and Wright carefully removed the Thunderbolt from its cradle. It was heavy, requiring both of them to carry it. Remember, Kelly said. 10 minutes from activation to effect. We need to be well away by then. They opened the hatch of their ship and stepped into the alien mothership. Their first step toward either saving Earth or dying in the attempt. They came for Earth, and we gave them just one chance to turn back. Part 4. Inside the alien mothership, the air was thick and smelled like metal. Strange lights pulsed along the walls. The floor felt alive, shifting slightly under their feet as they walked. Stay together, Commander Kelly whispered. Move slow. The team crept through a wide tunnel. Adams and Wright struggled with the weight of the Thunderbolt device between them. The sphere hummed quietly, its blue glow partially covered by a black cloth. Which way? Garcia asked when they reached a junction where 3 tunnels met. Kelly checked a small device in her hand. The center of the ship should be this way. That's where we need to place the device for maximum effect. They moved into the middle tunnel. The ceiling grew higher and the walls pulsed with brighter light. Strange sounds echoed around them, clicks and hums that might have been machinery or might have been the aliens talking. I think we're approaching a main area, Wright said. The biology of the ship is changing. More nerve-like structures in the walls. They reached the end of the tunnel and found themselves at the edge of an enormous open space. It was like a cathedral stretching up and away farther than they could see. In the center floated a massive crystal structure that glowed with intense blue light. That must be their power core, Adams whispered. Around the crystal, dozens of the stone-skinned aliens moved on walkways. They had 4 arms and walked on 2 legs, their movements quick and precise. They seemed to be monitoring the crystal, adjusting things around it. Perfect, Kelly said. If we can place the Thunderbolt near that crystal, its effect will be amplified through their whole system. How do we get to it? Garcia asked. There's no cover. They'll see us. Kelly studied the room. There. She pointed to a lower level, where pipes and conduits ran toward the crystal. We can follow those pipes, stay low. They climbed down to the lower level and began moving from pipe to pipe, staying hidden whenever possible. The aliens above didn't look down. Perhaps they had no reason to expect intruders in their ship. When they were halfway to the crystal, an alarm sound began. High-pitched and pulsing, it made the humans' teeth hurt. Have they spotted us? Adams asked, looking around frantically. I don't think so, Wright said. Look. On a giant screen above the crystal, images of Earth appeared. They showed alien ships landing in new areas. Other images showed large machines digging deep into the ground. "They're starting the major extraction," Wright said. "They're going to begin taking the planet apart." "We need to hurry," Kelly said. "Move faster." They rushed now, less concerned with stealth. When they reached the base of the crystal, they found a small space beneath the walkways where the thunderbolt could be hidden. "Here," Kelly ordered. "Set it down." Adams and Wright carefully placed the device on the floor. Adams began working on the controls. "How long until you can activate it?" Kelly asked. 2 minutes, Adams replied. "I need to calibrate it to their power frequency." Suddenly, Wright gasped. Above them, one of the aliens had stopped walking. It stood at the edge of the walkway, its 4 eyes looking straight at them. "It sees us," Garcia whispered, raising his weapon. The alien made a series of clicking sounds. Other aliens turned to look. "Hurry," Kelly told Adams. "Almost there," he replied, fingers moving quickly over the Thunderbolt's controls. The first alien began to climb down toward them. Others followed. "Garcia, Wright," Kelly ordered. "Hold them off." Garcia fired his sonic weapon. The high-frequency sound hit the lead alien, causing it to stumble and fall. Wright fired at the others, creating a barrier of sound that seemed to confuse them. 30 more seconds, Adams called. More aliens were coming now. Kelly joined the defense, firing her weapon at any that got too close. "They're adapting," Wright shouted as the aliens began to move through the sonic barrier, their bodies somehow changing to resist the effect. "Done," Adams announced. "Timer set for 10 minutes. The thunderbolt began to pulse more quickly, its blue glow turning slightly purple. "Move," Kelly ordered. "Back to the ship." They turned to run back the way they had come, but found their path blocked. Aliens had circled around behind them. "Other way." Kelly pointed to a different tunnel. "Go." They ran, the aliens close behind. Garcia led the way, with Wright and Adams in the middle. Kelly brought up the rear, firing backward to slow their pursuers. The new tunnel twisted and turned. They had no idea where it led, only that it was away from the aliens. "How much time?" Kelly asked as they ran. Adams checked a counter on his wrist. 8 minutes until Thunderbolt activates. "We need to find our way back to the ship," Kelly said. They turned a corner and found themselves in a large room filled with strange machines. Tables held tools and devices. In tanks along the walls, strange creatures floated in liquid. "It's a lab," Wright said, looking around in amazement. "They're studying Earth life." "No time," Kelly urged them forward. "Through there." They crossed the lab and entered another tunnel. This one sloped downward. "I think we're heading toward the outer edge of the ship," Garcia said. "That's good." Behind them, the alien pursuit had grown quieter. Perhaps they had lost their trackers. 6 minutes, Adams reported. The tunnel ended at a large door. Garcia pushed a panel beside it, and the door slid open. Beyond was a platform overlooking the same bay where they had landed their ship. There, Kelly pointed, their small black ship sat where they had left it. "We can make it." As they started toward a ladder that would take them down to the bay floor, a loud hiss came from behind them. They turned to see 5 aliens entering the platform area. These were different, larger, with armor covering their stone skin and weapons in their hands. "Run!" Kelly shouted. Energy beams hit the platform around them as they ran. Part of the floor melted away under the intense heat. Wright cried out in pain as a beam grazed her leg. She stumbled and fell. "Wright!" Kelly turned back. "Go!" Wright shouted, pulling herself up against a wall. "I'll hold them off. Get to the ship." "We're not leaving you," Kelly insisted. 4 minutes, Adams called out. "We won't all make it at this rate." Wright pulled out her weapon. "I'll keep them busy. Make it count." Kelly hesitated, then nodded. "We'll send help. Just save the planet," Wright replied with a smile. "That's enough." Kelly, Garcia, and Adams continued down the ladder, as Wright opened fire on the aliens. Her sonic weapon pushed them back temporarily, but they kept coming. 3 minutes, Adams said as they reached their ship. Garcia rushed to the controls and started the engines. Come on, he muttered as the systems came online. Kelly stayed at the door, watching the platform above. Wright was still firing, but the aliens were closing in. We have to go, Adams said gently, putting a hand on Kelly's shoulder. She nodded and closed the door. The ship lifted off the floor of the bay. 2 minutes, Adams reported. Garcia guided the ship out of the bay and into open space. The mothership loomed behind them, massive and terrible. Get us a safe distance away, Kelly ordered, but keep the ship in view. I want to see if this works. 1 minute, Adams said. The small human ship raced away from the alien mothership, pushing its engines to their limit. What if it doesn't work? Garcia asked the question they were all thinking. Then we tried, Kelly answered. And Earth gets 1 more day to find another solution. 30 seconds, Adams said. They watched the mothership through their view screen. It hung in space, unchanged, powerful beyond anything humans had built. 10 seconds, Adams counted down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, the blue glow of the mothership began to flicker. It's working, Kelly whispered. They came for Earth, and we gave them just 1 chance to turn back. Part 5. The alien mothership flickered like a dying light bulb. Its blue glow faded, then returned, then faded again. Other ships in the alien fleet began to flicker too, as if connected by invisible strings to their leader. It's working, Kelly whispered again, watching from the small human ship. The Thunderbolt is changing the physics inside their fleet. Look at that, Garcia pointed. The alien ships were drifting. Their perfect formation was breaking apart, as their engines failed. How long will the effect last? Kelly asked. Adams checked his instruments. 30 minutes, according to Dr. Delgado's calculations, maybe less. Then we need to make those minutes count. Kelly opened a communication channel. This is Commander Kelly to Earth Defense Command. The Thunderbolt is working. The alien fleet is disabled. You have about 30 minutes to hit them with everything we've got. On Earth, Admiral Carter received the message with disbelief. They did it, he said to the bridge crew of the Defiant. They actually did it. Around him, people cheered. It was the first good news in days of fighting. Send the order, Carter commanded. All remaining ships and weapons platforms target the alien fleet. Priority on their largest vessels. Fire everything. Across Earth's orbit, the few surviving human ships changed course. Weapons platforms that had been hiding powered up. Missile silos on the planet's surface opened their doors. For Earth, Carter said quietly as the first missiles launched. President, Howard watched from the bunker under the White House. On screens around him, the battle unfolded. Human weapons streaked toward the disabled alien ships. Will it be enough? He asked Dr. Brooks, who stood beside him. Their armor is still strong, Brooks replied. But without their energy shields and evasive systems, we have a chance. The president nodded. And what about the team who delivered the Thunderbolt? Commander Kelly and her people? No word yet. They're still out there. In space, Kelly's ship hung at a safe distance, watching as Earth's counterattack began. Missiles exploded against the hulls of alien ships. Energy weapons from the few surviving. Human vessels cut into the disabled fleet. It's not enough, Garcia said after several minutes. We're hurting them, but not stopping them. He was right. Despite the barrage, the alien ships remained largely intact. Their outer layers were damaged, but the main structures held. The Thunderbolt effect won't last much longer, Adams warned. 10 minutes at most. Kelly made a decision. Take us back to the mothership. What? Garcia turned to her in shock. We still have weapons, and I have an idea. She pointed to an area on the mothership that had been damaged by Earth's attack. There, that's a weak point now. If we can get inside again and reach their power core, we might be able to overload it. That's suicide, Adams said. Probably, Kelly admitted. But if we don't stop them now, Earth is finished, and Wright's sacrifice will have been for nothing. Garcia and Adams looked at each other. Then Garcia turned back to the controls. setting course for the mothership. Their small ship raced back toward the giant alien vessel. Through the damage in its hull, they could see inside to corridors and chambers. "There," Kelly pointed. "Can you get us in through that breach?" Garcia guided the ship carefully into the gap. Metal screeched against metal as they squeezed through. "The damaged hull. We're in," he reported. "But the ship is huge. How do we find the core from here?" "Follow the power conduits," Kelly said, pointing to glowing lines that ran along the walls. "They'll lead to the center." They landed in a damaged section of the ship. The air was thin but breathable. They left their ship and began to move through, the corridors following the glowing lines. Around them, the alien ship was in chaos. Systems failed and restarted as the Thunderbolt's effect fluctuated. The few aliens they saw seemed confused, moving erratically or not moving at all. The Thunderbolt is affecting them too, Adams realized. Their bodies must be partly mechanical. They reached a familiar area, the cathedral-like space with the crystal power core. It still floated in the center, but its glow was weaker now, flickering like the rest of the ship. "What's your plan?" Adams asked as they took cover behind a fallen piece of equipment. Kelly pointed to the base of the crystal. "The Thunderbolt disrupted their systems but didn't destroy them. If we can plant explosives at the core's support points, we might be able to create a chain reaction." "We have some charges left," Garcia said, checking their equipment. "Might be enough." 5 minutes until the Thunderbolt effect ends, Adams warned. They moved quickly across the open floor. The few aliens still functioning were too busy trying to repair systems to notice them. When they reached the crystal's base, they placed their explosive charges carefully at key points. 2 minutes, Adams said. "Set the timer for 1 minute," Kelly ordered. "That gives us just enough time to get back to the ship." Garcia set the timer. "Ready?" "Now we run," Kelly said. They turned back toward where they had left their ship, but found their path blocked. A group of aliens had entered the chamber. These moved with purpose, their forearms carrying weapons. "They're adapting," Adams said. "Overcoming the Thunderbolt effect. Find another way," Kelly ordered. They ran in a different direction, ducking behind equipment as energy beams hit around them. They found a small maintenance tunnel and crawled inside. 1 minute until our charges blow," Garcia said, checking. The timer on his wrist. They crawled faster. The tunnel led down and away from the core room. 30 seconds, Garcia reported. The tunnel ended at a small platform overlooking a vast hangar, different from the one where they had first entered. This one was filled with what looked like escape pods. "Perfect," Kelly said. "We can use one of those to get away." They climbed down to the hangar floor and ran toward the nearest pod. Behind them, the first explosion rocked the ship. The floor shook beneath their feet. "That's our charges," Garcia said. "Let's hope they do the job." They reached an escape pod, a small oval craft with simple controls. Adams examined them quickly. "I think I can fly this. It's basic." More explosions echoed through the ship, bigger this time. The chain reaction had begun. They climbed into the pod. Adams worked the controls, and the pod's door sealed shut. With a hiss of air, it launched from the mothership. Through a small window they watched as the alien vessel began to break apart. The crystal core shattered, releasing a wave of energy that tore through the ship. Other alien ships in the fleet were affected too. As the mothership died, they seemed to lose direction. Some drifted into each other. Others turned away from Earth. "They're connected somehow," Kelly said. "Kill the leader. Kill the fleet." From Earth, Admiral Carter watched in amazement as the alien mothership exploded in a brilliant flash of light. One by one, other ships in the fleet began to turn away. "They're retreating," someone shouted. "The aliens are retreating." Carter couldn't believe it. "Track them. Make sure they're really leaving." One alien ship remained behind as the others jumped to faster-than-light travel. It was damaged, but functional. It broadcast a message that was received by every communication device on Earth. Dr. Brooks worked quickly to translate it. "It's simple," he told the president. "Just 3 concepts repeated. You live, we understand. We go." The president looked at the images of the departing alien fleet. "They didn't know we were intelligent. Now they do." And they decided we weren't worth the fight, Brooks added. In space, Kelly's stolen escape pod was picked up by a human rescue ship. As she stepped aboard with Garcia and Adams, the crew cheered. "You did it," the captain told them. "You saved Earth." Kelly shook her head. "We all did. And right, she made it possible." 3 days later, Admiral Carter stood at a window on the lunar base looking out at Earth. The blue planet hung in space, beautiful and whole. Beside him stood the president. "Will they come back?" the president asked. "Maybe," Carter replied. "But next time we'll be more ready." "And they know we fight back," the president added. In the vastness of space, the damaged alien scout ship rejoined its fleet. It carried new information about the small blue planet they had tried to harvest. It told of beings who fought with unexpected determination, beings who were willing to sacrifice themselves for their world, beings who had managed to defeat a force far greater than themselves. The alien commander decided there were easier worlds to harvest. The fleet changed course, heading away from Earth and into the darkness between stars. They had come for Earth. Earth had given them one chance to turn back, and in the end they had taken it.